My name is Alex, and for as long as I can remember, I've been everyone's rock dot. It started in childhood. I was the kid who mediated playground fights, who shared his lunch with whoever forgot theirs, who always had a tissue ready when someone cried. My mom used to say I was born with an old soul, always putting others before myself. Alex will know what to do became the family motto. When my parents fought, I was the one who calmed them down. When my little sister had nightmares, she'd crawl into my bed. When my grandfather got sick, I was the one who held everyone together. While they fell apart in high school, my locker became an unofficial counseling center. Friends would find me between classes, spilling their hearts about breakups, family drama, academic stress. I listened, I advised, I supported. It felt good to be needed, to be the person people turned to when their world was crumbling. You should be a therapist, my guidance counselor said. You have a gift for making people feel heard. But I didn't want to be a therapist. I wanted to be an engineer, to build bridges and skyscrapers. Still, I couldn't shake the role that had been carved out for me. The strong friend, the reliable one, the emotional pillar. College brought a new circle, but the pattern remained the same. My dorm room was where people came to cry, to vent, to seek advice. I kept a mini fridge stocked with comfort food and tissues on every surface. There was Jake, my roommate, who called me at 3 a.m. whenever his anxiety spiraled. Alex, I can't breathe, he'd whisper, and I'd talk him through breathing exercises until dawn. There was Maria, who showed up at my door every time her toxic boyfriend broke her heart. Why do I keep going back to him? She'd sob, and I'd hold her while she cried, offering the same gentle wisdom I'd given a dozen times before. There was David, struggling with his sexuality and afraid to come out to his conservative family. What if they disowned me? He'd ask, and I'd spend hours helping him find the courage to be himself. And there was Sarah, brilliant but battling depression, who'd disappear for days and then resurface with apologies and explanations. I don't know what I'd do without you, she'd say, and I'd reassure her that I'd always be there. I was the group's emotional Switzerland, neutral, stable, always available. While they dealt with their crises, I maintained perfect grades, held down a part-time job, and somehow managed to keep everyone else afloat. How do you do it? Sarah asked me once. How are you always so together? I shrugged. Someone has to be. But the truth was, I didn't know any other way to be. Being strong wasn't a choice. It was my identity. I was the friend who had his life figured out, who never needed help, who was always ready to catch others when they fell. After college, we all scattered to different cities, but technology kept us connected. My phone became a 24/7 crisis hotline. Group chats, individual messages, late-night calls. The need for my support followed me everywhere. Jake landed a high-stress job in finance and started having panic attacks again. Can you talk? Became his most frequent text, usually sent at midnight when I was trying to sleep. Maria finally left her toxic boyfriend, but struggled with loneliness. I feel so empty, she'd message, and I'd spend my lunch breaks crafting long, encouraging responses. David came out to his family and was dealing with the fallout. They're not speaking to me, he'd call to say, his voice breaking, and I'd listen. While he processed his grief, Sarah's depression worsened in her new city. I can't get out of bed became a regular check-in, and I'd spend hours researching therapists in her area, following up to make sure she was okay. New friends joined the circle, bringing new problems. There was Tom, going through a messy divorce. Lisa, struggling with addiction. Kevin, dealing with his father's terminal illness. Each one found their way to me, drawn by my reputation as the friend who always knew what to say. My apartment became a way station for friends in crisis. My couch had hosted more breakdown sessions than I could count. My kitchen table had seen more tear-stained conversations than family dinners. I started keeping a mental calendar of everyone's problems. Jake's therapy appointments on Tuesdays. Maria's court date for the restraining order. David's job interview stress. Sarah's medication adjustments. It was like managing an emotional disaster relief operation. "You're like a saint," Lisa told me after I'd helped her find a rehab program. "I don't know how you handle all of this." But I was starting to crack under the pressure. I'd gained weight from stress eating, lost sleep from late-night crisis calls, and hadn't been on a date in months because I was always dealing with someone else's emergency. My own dreams started taking a back seat. The engineering job I'd worked so hard for felt meaningless when I was spending most of my mental energy managing other people's lives. I'd postpone my own plans to be available for friends. I'd cancel my own therapy appointments. Yes, even. A strong friend needed therapy sometimes because someone else needed me more urgently. "When do you take care of yourself?" My therapist had asked during our last session, months ago. "I'm fine," I'd lied. "I don't need as much support as other people." But I was starting to realize that wasn't true. The weight of being everyone's emotional support was crushing me, and I didn't know how to ask for help without feeling like I was failing at the one thing I was supposed to be good at. The cracks started showing in small ways. I'd snap at cashiers for minor mistakes. I'd feel overwhelming irritation when my phone buzzed with another crisis text. I'd lie awake at night, not because someone was calling me, but because my mind wouldn't stop racing through everyone else's problems. My work performance began to suffer. I'd zone out in meetings, thinking about Jake's latest panic attack or Sarah's medication side effects. I missed deadlines because I was too emotionally drained to focus. My boss noticed. "Alex, is everything okay?" she asked after I'd submitted a report 2 days late. "This isn't like you. Just some personal stuff," I said, which was technically true. Other people's personal stuff. But the real breaking point came on a Thursday in October. It started like any other day. 3 crisis texts before I'd even had coffee. A voicemail from David about his family drama, and an email from Maria asking if we could talk later. Then I got the call from my mom. "Alex, honey, I need to tell you something." Her voice was shaking. "Your father, he's been having chest pains. We're at the hospital now." My world tilted. My father, my hero, the man who taught me to be strong for others, was lying in a hospital bed while I was hundreds of miles away, managing everyone else's crisis. "Is he okay? What did the doctors say? Do you need me to come home?" "The doctors are running tests. It might be his heart." "Alex, I'm scared." I'd never heard my mother sound so vulnerable. She was always the strong one in our family, the one who held everything together. Hearing her fear made my own terror spike. "I'll catch the next flight," I said, already mentally rearranging my life. "Mom, it's going to be okay." But as I hung up, I realized I didn't know if it would be okay. For the first time in my life, I was facing a crisis that I couldn't fix with advice or a listening ear. I couldn't counsel my father's heart into being healthy. I couldn't mediate between him and mortality. I needed support. I needed someone to tell me it would be okay, to hold me while I fell apart, to be my rock while my foundation crumbled. I looked at my phone, scrolling through my contacts. All these people I'd supported through their darkest moments. Surely now, when I needed them most, they'd be there for me. I started with Jake. He'd know what it felt like to be scared, to feel like your world was falling apart. "Hey Jake, I know this is sudden, but I'm going through something and could really use a friend to talk to." His response came an hour later. "Sorry man, swamped at work today? Rain check?" I tried Maria next. She'd understand family drama, the fear of losing someone you love. Maria, my dad's in the hospital, and I'm really struggling. Could we talk? Her reply was immediate, but brief. Oh no. Sending prayers. Can't talk right now, though, dealing with my own family stuff. You understand, right? David was next. He'd appreciate how it felt to be far from family when they needed you. David, I hate to ask, but I'm having a really hard time and could use some support. He read the message. I could see the blue check marks, but didn't respond for 3 hours. When he finally did, sorry, Alex. In therapy right now, working through my own stuff. You're strong, though. You'll get through this. One by one, I reached out to the people I'd supported through their darkest hours. One by one, they were too busy, too overwhelmed with their own problems, too confident in my strength to offer the support I desperately needed. Sarah's response hurt the most. Alex, you're the strongest person I know. If anyone can handle this, it's you. I'm barely keeping my head above water myself right now. I sat in my apartment, phone in hand, staring at the collection of dismissive responses. The silence was deafening. Not the comfortable silence of being alone, but the crushing silence of being abandoned when you need people most. For years, I'd been the first person they called in crisis. I dropped everything, canceled plans, lost sleep, sacrificed my own well-being to be there for them. I'd listened to the same problems over and over, offered the same advice with infinite patience, held them through breakdowns and breakthroughs alike. But now, when I needed them, they saw mistrength as a reason, not to help. They assumed I could handle it alone because I always had. They were too wrapped up in their own problems to see that their rock was crumbling. I tried calling my college roommate, someone outside the immediate circle. Voicemail. I reached out to a work colleague I'd helped through her divorce. Sorry, Alex, not a good time. I even called my cousin, who I'd supported through addiction recovery. You're so good at handling stress, though. You'll figure it out. The pattern was clear. I had trained everyone in my life to see me as the giver, never the receiver. I had been so consistent in my strength that they couldn't conceive of me needing support. I had become a one-way emotional street, and now I was stranded on it. Thought the flight to my hometown was the longest 3 hours of my life. I sat in the middle seat, surrounded by strangers, feeling more alone than I ever had. My phone buzzed occasionally. Jake asking for advice about a work presentation, Maria venting about her latest dating disaster, Lisa needing someone to talk her through a craving. I turned my phone off, got at the hospital. I found my mother in the waiting room, looking small and fragile in a way I'd never seen before. When she saw me, she broke down crying, and I held her, feeling like a fraud. How could I comfort her when I was falling apart inside? The doctors say it was a mild heart attack, she whispered. He's stable, but Alex, I was so scared. I thought I might lose him. I made the right sounds, said the right things, held her, while she cried, but inside, I was screaming. I wanted to collapse, to let someone else be strong for once, to admit that I was terrified and overwhelmed and completely out of my depth, but there was no one. My friends were too busy with their own crises to support me through mine. My family needed me to be the strong one. I was trapped in a role I'd created for myself, unable to break free even when I was drowning. That night, in my childhood bedroom, I finally let myself fall apart. I cried for my father, for my fear, for my loneliness. I cried for all the years I'd spent being strong for everyone else while neglecting my own emotional needs. I cried for the friends who couldn't see past my strength to my vulnerability. Most of all, I cried for the realization that I had taught people to take my support for granted by never asking for anything in return. My father recovered. It took weeks, but he came home, started cardiac rehab, changed his diet, and began taking better care of himself. During those weeks, I stayed home, helping my parents navigate this new reality. But something had shifted in me. The crisis had cracked open something I'd kept buried for years. The recognition that I had needs too, that my emotional well-being mattered, that being strong didn't mean being invulnerable. I started seeing a therapist in my hometown, Dr. Martinez, who specialized in caregiver burnout. "You've been carrying everyone else's emotional weight for so long that you've forgotten you have your own," she said during our first session. "When did you decide that your feelings were less important than everyone else's?" I couldn't remember. It had happened so gradually, this transformation from a person with needs into a person who existed solely to meet other people's needs. "What would happen if you stopped being available for every crisis?" she asked. "They'd be angry. They'd think I didn't care. They'd find someone else. And would that be such a bad thing?" A question haunted me. Would it be bad if my friends learned to handle their problems without me? Would it be terrible if they found other sources of support? Had I been enabling their dependence on me while neglecting my own growth? When I returned to my city, I made changes. I turned off my phone after 9 p.m. I stopped responding to crisis texts immediately. I started saying, "I'm not available to talk right now, but let's schedule a time when I can give you my full attention." The reactions were swift, and telling Doc Jake was annoyed. "You used to always be available. What's changed?" Maria was hurt. "I thought I could count on you. This isn't like you." David was confused. "Are you okay? You're acting weird." Sarah was accusatory. "You're being selfish. I've been there for you too." But the truth was, they hadn't been there for me. Not when I needed them most. They had been there for the version of me that existed to serve their needs. But they couldn't see the real me, the person with fears, insecurities, and problems of my own. I started building new relationships, healthier ones based on mutual support rather than one-way emotional labor. I joined a support group for adult children of cardiac patients. I made friends at the gym who knew nothing about my reputation as the strong friend. I began dating someone who saw my vulnerability as a strength, not a weakness. Some of my old friendships survived the transition. Jake, after initial resistance, learned to manage his anxiety with professional help and became a more reciprocal friend. David started checking in on me as much as I checked in on him, but others didn't make it. Maria couldn't accept that I was no longer available for her every emotional crisis. Sarah drifted away when she realized I expected the same support I gave. Lisa found a new emotional dumping ground. That it hurt to lose those friendships. But Dr. Martinez helped me see that they weren't really friendships at all. They were one-sided. Support systems that I had enabled. "Healthy relationships require balance," she said. "You can't pour from an empty cup forever." If you're listening to this story and recognizing yourself in it, I need you to hear this. You are not responsible for fixing everyone else's life at the expense of your own. Being the strong friend is a beautiful thing, but it shouldn't be prison sentence. Your emotional needs are just as valid as everyone else's. Your mental health matters just as much. Your problems deserve attention and care, even if they seem smaller than everyone else's. You have taught people to see you as unbreakable, but you are human. You have taught them to lean on you, but you need support too. You have trained them to take your strength for granted, but you deserve friends who see your vulnerability as an opportunity to love you better, not a burden to avoid. It's time to stop being everyone's emotional first responder and start being your own advocate. Set boundaries. Turn off your phone. Say no to crisis calls when you're having your own crisis. Ask for help, especially if it feels uncomfortable. The people who truly love you will adjust to your boundaries and learn to support you in return. The ones who don't were really your friends. They were just people who benefited from your emotional labor. You deserve reciprocal relationships. You deserve friends who check on you without being asked. You deserve to fall apart sometimes without having to hold everyone else together. Your strength is not diminished by admitting you need help. Your value is not determined by how much you can carry for others. Your worth exists independent of your ability to fix everyone else's problems. Take care of yourself first. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you've been running on empty for far too long. The world will not fall apart if you stop holding it up. Other people will learn to be strong when you stop being strong for them. And you, the real you, with needs and fears and dreams of your own, will finally have space to breathe, to grow, to be human. You are allowed to be weak. You are allowed to need help. You are allowed to put yourself first. Start today. Your future self, the one who learned to receive love as well as give it, will thank you.